Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson is joining us right now. She serves on the House CCP committee, the Chinese Communist Party. Thanks for being with us. Now, the general consensus seems to be that despite the positive rhetoric from both President Trump and President Xi, there are still a lot of really deep differences. What is your overall assessment?
Yeah. Well, I've been watching, I guess, with bated breath like everybody else, but certainly very hopeful coming out of those meetings, because I think you're right when you talk about the fact that the engagement is happening. President Trump knows the art of the deal. I know they had some very intense conversations while he was there. I can tell you that Iowans have been watching this very closely because we do need to make sure we have access to markets around the world. No new trade deals under President Biden. So I'm hopeful we're able to ink a better trade deal for American farmers and for Iowa's producers with President Xi. But I think we have to go into this knowing how they've operated. They've definitely tried to not operate within the norms, and our policy and our rhetoric toward China in the last 20 years, really, you could argue in my lifetime, has been weak. And so I'm glad that we have President Trump bringing these conversations to the forefront, and I'm hopeful that we're able to get a deal, again, knowing how the Chinese operate here.
Congresswoman, we want to play a clip for you from President Xi, who spoke of the partnership between the U.S. and China and how he thinks it can evolve going forward.
A stable bilateral relationship is good for the world. China and the United States both stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. We should be partners, not rivals.
Do you think he's being authentic? Because China's actions in recent years seem to indicate a nation which is intent on overtaking the U.S. on the global stage, not necessarily partnering with us.
Right. I think we have to take them at their word. What they have said in the past clearly shows that they want to be the global superpower, dominant world power by the year 2049. So I think we need to enter into any agreement with that in mind. That said, I am encouraged by the fact that the conversations are happening. And again, when I look at access to those markets, of course, we need access to the Chinese market. It's huge for the United States. But let's keep in mind the Chinese also need access to the American market. And I think that a mutual relationship going forward is really in both countries' best interests.
I've been personally very concerned about the weaponization that China has used with the AI and ChatGPT and those sort of things, not only against the U.S. government and against U.S. companies, but also U.S. citizens. The Hill, though, put out an interesting opinion piece, which actually pushes back on that perception that China is threatening to overtake the United States as a major superpower. The article says that China's population is aging, and although it sits on vast dollar and oil reserves, its economy is on track to stagnate and decline. Its real estate markets are massively over-leveraged. Xi would also be very mistaken to perceive a strategic pause in our competition as a sign of acquiescence. On the contrary, we won't let ourselves become dependent on another country for crucial supply chain components again. Do you agree with those viewpoints?
Yeah. Well, I think certainly China does have a demographic problem. We know that. But again, to the point I made earlier, we need access to that market. It's still a lot of people. They need access to our market. It's still a lot of people. So I think that has to be the root of any of the conversations. When it comes to AI, I think specifically they don't have the same strangleholds that we have in terms of government regulation, right? They have one party. They don't have to come to agreement on regulation. And so they're investing and spending the money. We need to make sure we get out of our own way so we can lead that front on AI and make sure we win that battle, because ultimately that's not just economics, that's not just the economy here, that is also the military side and making sure we can still be the world dominant superpower here in the United States. So I think that that's what that eventually comes down to. And so again, I'm hopeful coming out of these conversations. I know there was a lot of high-level rhetoric. The devil's in the details, as we all know, and so I look forward to seeing kind of what comes out of that on the trade front specifically.
Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, we appreciate your time. I'm sure you have a busy day ahead. Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.